the Gentile rulership, the Gentile leadership over you. No, because we have learned since our, I'm going to put it in quotes, since our quote unquote independence,
Right.
that we have to work for what we want to achieve. And if we put the labor in, we will get it. We may not get it perfect, but we're going to get something. We're going to get close.
Right.
And so we strive and we work together
Mm-hmm.
when it suits us to work together in order to achieve the goals that we set out to achieve.
Mm.
We get creative, we get ingenuitive,
Mm-hmm.
and this has been our, what we know. This is us, and it differs in your situation where there is an obvious case of one group trying and doing everything that they possibly can to suppress the upliftment of another group.
Right. So, man, there's so much to say on that. So, one thing we've seen here in America is we've seen how, well, before I do that, let's pray. Because we're going to get started here in a minute. Let's go ahead and start in prayer. Just kind of have your heart and mind set on the Most High real quick. I'm going to use the Hebraic terms in reverence to our God, our Father. Abba Yah, thank you for this time that we have to come together in your name before your throne of grace, mercy, and judgment. We thank you for the word that's going to go forth in the conversation that my family and I have to come together in your presence this Wednesday evening. I thank you for all that you're doing in and through our lives and the hedge of protection that you have placed around us. We thank you for the sacrifice of your Son, our King, Lord, and Savior, Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ. We thank you for that sacrifice. Adonai, Lord Jesus, Yahushua HaMashiach, we thank you for your sacrifice and your love towards us, and that you have kept us all this time, even in our present condition. You watch over us, and your grace extends towards us, and you intercede on our behalf. We thank you for that. I pray that this lesson and this discussion goes forth and gives you all the glory, honor, and adoration in your name. Amen.
Amen. Praise God.
Okay, so what I'll say from a perspective from someone in America is what I've seen is we're kind of behind the enemy lines. we're kind of behind the enemy lines. We definitely, those that pay attention, the key ones that pay attention, we recognize how the elite system operates. And today we're actually going to talk a little bit about that elite system and the codes they use. I'm going to just go put it out there and tell it. When you grew up and when I grew up, you guys likely heard the term about the man. The man. In general, for us, I don't know what it was like for y'all, but for us, the man was the white man. Okay? Now, the white man, come to find out, is a code word. The white man is a code word for Zionism or the Jewish man. There's one group of people you cannot talk about anywhere in the world, and that's Jewish people. If you do, it's going to be some problems. So what you have is a blanket term of the white man. The white man this, the white man that, doggone white man, blah, blah, blah. But it's not the white man. You have a group of people that are able to jump in and out of their culture at will when they choose. They hide behind their whiteness. They hide behind their European ancestry. So they do what they do, And when they want to be your friend, right, and they want to pat you on the back and say, I'm with you, black man, I understand the struggle. On the other hand, they put on, I'm the white man face, and they got daggers in your rib cage. They got daggers all up in your back. So they jump in and out of, I'm Jewish, I'm not. I'm Jewish, I'm not. And that's something that it's a raw truth that very few people are willing to even talk about. They won't, because they're afraid they're gonna lose their job or somebody's gonna talk bad about them or whatever. But listen, I'm about our people. I'm for the struggle of our people. I will tell the truth to my grave. I could be broke, busted on the street curb, talk about, can I get a handout, before I compromise my integrity of speaking the truth. You know what I'm saying? So that's something that we have to expose and deal with. And not many people are willing to do that. But we're going to talk about some of this stuff today, because for those in the Caribbean, one of the questions they're going to have is, how do we get here? How do we get here? Where do we come from? Now, some people are like, I'm cool. I'm Haitian. I'm Jamaican. I'm Bajan, whatever, right? They ain't tripping. They're just like, I'm good. I'm here. I'm living. But for those of us that are like, well, before we got dropped off here, where did we come from? How did we get here? Not what they told us who we are, but who are we? So we're going to go to Ezra, because in order to understand like how we got to the Americas, meaning South America, the Caribbean, the North America, even Canada, they got us too. They had us enslaved in Canada too. They don't talk about that, but they had us enslaved in Canada too. Where did we come from? What happened? How do we tie back from where we are now back to these people? Now, before we can do that, go ahead and get your Bibles open and just jump to Ezra chapter 3 and just sit it to the side for right now. But we're gonna be in Ezra starting in chapter 3. But let me go ahead and I have slides prepared. I usually don't do slides, but it's important. So let me go ahead and get this going. I think I have the proper order going on here. I think. Let me check. I think I'll be good.
Julian.
Shalom, good night. Good night.
Hey, shalom, Julian. Good to have you here.
It's good to be here. Thank you very much.
My name is Duane Harris. I'm from North America in Seattle, Washington area.
Okay, Duane. I'm Julian Sanger, and I'm actually from Dominica. Not the Dominican Republic, but from Dominica. That is
actual Dominica. Yeah,
the little island between Guadeloupe and Martinique.
Yeah, praise God.
All right, so good night.
Okay, I think I'm ready. Where are you guys at? All right, let's do this. Okay, so what I'm gonna do right now, I'm gonna share my screen, and let's do this. All right, so let me move you guys out the way so I could see. Cool. All right, so this is my ministry, Biblical Hebrew Awakening. There's my email down there that gets in contact with me. You can also go to HebrewConnect.org, and that gives, there's chat in there. There's a forum inside there. All of our events are going to be listed there. And then also there's HebrewConnectTV, which is a YouTube replacement, because I'm tired of our people not being able to put their content up and always having it demonetized and you know, all kind of negative things where they're censoring our voice. Okay, so it's a place where people can kind of import their existing videos, but also if they know they got content that they'll probably get flagged, they could just upload it directly to the website and don't have to worry about censorship on that level. Plus, it's all Hebrew content. You're going to see a better audience, so that's what I have there. And then I'm also working on a full-blown Facebook social media replacement for Facebook, because again, same thing. Facebook is censoring our voices, and so I want to make sure we have a place that we can have a voice as awakening Hebrews. All right. But this is my ministry. We're going to go ahead and get started. So, first things first, let's deal with this. And I think we'll be good. You should be able to see everything fine. Can you guys see everything good?
Yeah, so far.
Okay. So, first question is in regards to, we have to ask ourselves, what does it mean to be Jewish? Who are these Jewish people? What types of Jews are there? Here we're looking at the Ashkenazi Jews. This is your modern Ashkenazi Jew. This is what they look like. It's a white man. These are white people. Now, the difference, though, is interesting, is they weren't always like this. This is a relatively new situation for them, where they've mixed themselves into other European groups. These are a convert people, but I wanted to show you some things here. So this is what a modern Ashkenazi Jewish person looks like. You got the, you know, they're wearing the black, and they got the, you know, the hat and everything, and they got these gnarly beards. All right. And these are the bulk of the people that, when you say Jewish people, the majority of them are going to be these people, the Ashkenazi European Jewish people. These are converts. These are not authentically bloodline descendants of the children of Abraham. They're not. This is a older picture. I want to say from the 19th century, late 1800s, of Ashkenazi Jews. You can see they have a varying Turk look. These are a Turkic people. These are Turks. This is what they look like in olden times. Now, back then, these are your Khazar Jewish people. These are converts. These are people that converted to a version of Talmudism, generally in the 9th century, and literally converted to a form of Jewishness. They've never lived in the land of Israel. Never. These are full-blown straight converts. Now, what's interesting is these people were converted by primarily Edomite Jews, which is a different story, but that's the truth, what it comes down to. After 70 AD, you had the dispersion of all Southern Kingdom people. The leaders of the time, I don't know why these dogs are barking like that, so I apologize. The leaders of the time of Yeshua were Herodian Jews. These were bloodline descendants from Esau that were forced by the sword to convert to Judaism. After 70 AD, they went ahead and scattered, and many of them went up to the Mediterranean, and some of them went even further up and got connected with these Khazars and actually taught them Talmudism, basically, a version of Talmudism.
Ask a question?
Yes.
Edomites.
Yes. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. It's funny when I'm talking about the Jewish people, the dogs start barking and acting crazy, right? I'll be right back. I'm gonna go close the window, see if that helps. All right, go ahead.
So the Edomites who had converted to Hebrewism, if we can use that term, after
Yeah.
AD 70, when the Jews were basically scattered, were they scattered along with them? Or is it that they started their own conquest, their own thing? I'm just trying to understand how it is that these Edomites, these converted Edomites, ended up in Europe or with these, wherever these Ashkenazis were located. How did they get there to start this conversion process?
So what you have, let me kind of break it down. What you have is John Hyrcanus is he's a sibling, he's a relative of Judah Maccabee. Okay. You go into a situation where John Hyrcanus, when he went to the land of Idumea in the south, he gave them a choice. You either forsake your idolatry, you forsake your paganism essentially, and return back to the covenant of Abraham. Mind you, like, you are our blood relatives, right? We've been beefing throughout the generations, but you still my family, right? You still my family. So, but it's a matter of either you be like us, following the lineage and the ways of Abraham, or you die, or you get out. And so the Idumeans had a love for their land so much that they decided to convert. So the circumcision and becoming culturally Yahudim. So I'm using Yahudim instead of Jews because I don't want, when I say Jews, people think of these folks. All right. So Yahudim being bloodline of the house of Judah. Okay. So that's what ended up happening. You can read about that in Josephus. You can read about that in the book of Maccabees. It talks about this exact thing I'm talking about, where John Hyrcanus by the sword said, you either be culturally like us, or you get out, or you die. What you want to do. And so they chose to become culturally as us. Now, a Torah tidbit, you know, in the scriptures where it says, do not abhor an Edomite because it's your brother, right? And then after so long, a descendant of Edom can actually be grafted in to, you could say, like a leadership position within the house of Israel. Most people don't recognize that. They don't recognize that, but that's in there, and it's true. That's why you had many Pharisees during the time of Jesus or Yeshua that were literally the descendants of Esau. Yeah. And they were culturally were Jewish. They were just like us, but they weren't bloodline us. But culturally, they were us. So when 70 AD happened, and you have literally the kingdom of Judah being destroyed, and everybody's fleeing, right? That's why even to this day, you're going to find descendants of Esau and descendants of Israel commingled together, like living amongst each other. They always beefing, but they're going to still live amongst each other for some reasons that way. All right. So what ended up happening was some of those Edomite Jews that took over the elite positions within Israel, right? Because you have Herod the Great, and then you have all the Agrippa family were all Herodians, right? So the Agrippa family, all these folks were Idumean. They weren't Israelites. They were Hebrew, but they weren't Israelites. But they were over the people. That's why, like, Jesus or Yeshua was born under the oppression of the Idumean rule. The Idumean rule was governed and ruled over by the Roman rule. So once the Romans came in and they brought the sword and everybody scattered, centuries later through time, you now have a dispersion of the Israelite nation. The northern kingdom was already gone. So the southern kingdom got dispersed and buckshot everywhere. They scattered all throughout the region, primarily into Africa. So like the Bantu expansion, that's us, right? The Bantu expansion into Africa is how we got into Africa, into West Africa, into South Africa, and so on and so forth. Let me put it this way. There's one group of black people, Negro-looking people, that only one that's been accepted as Jews. And we'll talk about them in a minute. So what ended up happening was, again, those that were Idumean Jews, or those were Edomite Jews, they knew Torah. They were the Pharisees within the Sanhedrin. They were teachers of the law. They held positions of authority within the culture. When everybody scattered, they went and scattered too. And they get down with anybody. So they literally, in some cases, intermarried with these people. So I'll get there in a minute. So hopefully that answers your question for right now. Does anybody have any questions before we move forward? Because I got to get further along, that'll probably help answer some more of your questions.
Yeah, it answers it for right now. I just needed to understand if it is that they scattered with the Yahudim, or if it was they started their own, you know, like the Islamics started their own
no,
conquest.
This is
something that they did and ended up converting these people, or if it is that they scattered this was the Jews because they were considered the Yahudim along with them.
Yes, the latter part. Yeah, they were considered Yahudim just like us. Culturally, we were the same people. So ethnically, we weren't.
So in that case, because of the intermingling, is it that the Romans did not distinguish, or is it that the Romans refused to distinguish between Edomites and the Yahudim?
So different time frame. During that time frame, so let me explain this. During that time frame, there was a division. Not all the descendants of Edom are united. They're different. So you had literally those of Edom that they destroyed everything along with the Romans. They were as the Romans. So you had a subset of Edomite Jews, specific Edomite Jews, that were scattered and destroyed and killed and ran off just like the rest of us. But then you also had separate Edomites that hated our people and were wishing for the destruction of Jerusalem, the destruction of our temple. They would capture us as we were running away and then turning us over to the Romans. You get what I'm saying? So it was a lot going on. So you have to understand, like, the families of Esau is massive. It's not just like linear like that. You might be having like 10 branches, right, that all come and descend from Esau himself. All right. So you have one branch of the Idumeans that became Jews, and they got integrated into Jewish or Yahudim society. But then you could have 8 other groups of descendants of Esau that were like, kill everybody. So
understood.
It's a bigger level situation than that. It's not one-sided linear, it's multifaceted. But that's the situation. So let's start back here again. This is what your modern European Ashkenazi Jew looks like. All right. This is what they look like in olden times. They are a people that they are, number one, from the house of Togarmah. So when you read in Ezekiel 38, which we may actually end up reading just because we need to, because nobody actually reads that book. They don't want to look at that book. They want these people to be Esau, Edom so bad. These are not Hebrews. They ain't black. They don't look like me and you. Nowhere near like me and you. Those are Turks. Those are Turks. These people are a mixed people of Yafet and a mixed people of Canaan. Okay, these are a Yaphetic, Hamitic people that are mixed together into that. But to get away from this and the stigma of being that kind of gypsy person, because you have to understand this aspect, and we'll go into it more deeper level later on. I'm giving you broad stroke for right now for time's sake and the course of this type of a lesson. I want to give you just enough deep, but keep it broad stroke. These same people were gypsies, the mystical gypsy people that you're like, what are you? They're like, I'm a gypsy, and you can't trust them. It's true, you can't trust them. It's true. Everybody knows you can't trust them. That's not, I mean, it's not even like it's just true. It's sad, but it's true. You got gypsies, and then you have Ashkenazi, right? And then you have other Turkic or like Turk groups, that Turk coming from Togarmah. All right, that's these people. And they mix in, and they you know, these people are, they are a mixture of a variety of different nations. All right. This is what they look like now. This is a famous actress. She's Jewish. If you didn't know that, you'd be like, this is a famous person, and she's a white girl. Yes, she's a white girl, but she's Jewish because of intermixing of Ashkenazi with other groups and different things. And this is your modern day Ashkenazi today, 2020 generation. Another person that you would probably say, oh, that's just a white girl, and you'd be wrong. Everybody knows who this person is. That's an Avenger. But she's not just a regular Avenger. She's also Jewish. Great actress. Here's another one. She's Jewish. Good actress, pretty funny, right? I could go through, if I really wanted to, you know, spend some time and break all this stuff down, you guys will be amazed how many quote unquote white people are actually Jewish people. And again, the reason why I highlight this is because this is a group of people that are able to jump in and out of whiteness. That's what they're able to do. Whereas others can't do that so much. So when I want to be white, I'm white. When I want to play the victim and talk about the Holocaust, I'll be Jewish. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that's going on that we're going to have to get into. Let's keep going. Who are these people? These people are the Samaritan people. These are the people that are in Israel today. These are Samaritans. Now, they have an interesting story and history that we're going to talk about fairly shortly here. All right. These people are also a convert Gentile people. These people have a history like the ultimate, what's the word? Let's put it this way. There's a reason why the Samaritans were hated by Israelites, even in biblical times. It's because even back in ancient times, which these people have inherited that culture and that history, they would pretend to be us when it was good. When it's good to be a Hebrew, I'm one of y'all. When it was not good to be a Hebrew, I don't know the Negroes. That's what they have a history of doing. Now, these people today they're just mixed out. They're a mixed group of people that have a history with Samaria. Now, what's funny is when you look at the genetics of the core priestly family of the Samaritans, they look white because they mixed out. They mixed themselves out, okay? But when you look at their genetics, their root is Idumean. They're Idumean Jews. The root core Kohen family, like the so-called Levitical family, have E1B1B paternal ancestry, which ties back to Esau, Edom. It's funny. So the regular I'm a Samaritan are like mixed out people. But the core priestly family actually traced their lineage to Esau, Edom. So, all right, I'm moving forward for time's sake. Mizrahi Jews. Write this down if you never heard of these people. Mizrahi Jews. This is kind of a catch-all for all the other Jewish people that claim some type of Jewish heritage or culture or identity, primarily from the Middle East. But it also encompasses some of the Arab Jews of Africa, North Africa specifically. All right. This is a picture of what the Arab Jews look like. These three men are reading the scriptures. They're studying their Hebrew, right? And that's what they're doing. All right. But that's what they look like. These are Mizrahi Jews. You can go ahead and look them up. All right. I'm kind of giving you a broad stroke image of the people that claim to be Jewish. Here you have Kaifeng Jews. Yes, I know you're like, what is happening here? Not a far stretch when you look at the Turk people, right? Because these people are also a Chinese Asiatic mix. But for all intents and purposes, these are your modern day Chinese people. These are Chinese people that claim to have a lineage or history of being Israelites. Now, there's a thing that's happening here that most people don't recognize. Some people do, but most people don't. And that is the fact that the Jewish people, the European Ashkenazi Jewish people, know the prophecy that the tribe of Judah is supposed to gather the house of Israel. They know that, they see that in the scripture that is pretty much laid out that the tribe of Judah is going to be used to reach out and gather all 12 tribes. So that's what they're doing. Now, I will never look these men in the face and tell them, you're not Jews or you're this or that, whatever. What I mean by that is the fact that in my heart, what I believe is happening is that Jewish people are going around the world looking for those Gentile nations that at one point in historical time actually converted, or you could say they tried to assimilate into the culture of the Yahudim. Meaning these are and I want to take that back. I want to clarify that. They tried to assimilate into the culture of the house of Israel. Because again, the lie is that Jesus died for the sins of the whole world. And that because of Jesus, all mankind can be saved. That's not true. Yeshua came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Every other nation has had the opportunity to join themselves to the house of Israel to serve the Most High Yah. And I believe that their ancestors likely in times past did that. They likely were sojourners in with the house of Israel. Meaning these people, like if we were in the house of, if we were in Israel today, like true Israel, and we were set up as a kingdom, as a nation, these brothers could come in and say, I want to serve the Most High Yah, and I want to live with Judah, or I want to live with Issachar, or I want to live with Asher. And then there'll be a little spot that's dedicated just for the Gentiles, the strangers, and they can live there, right? They're not Israelites, but these are people that say, you know what? I'd rather be a servant in the house of the Most High Yah than be on the outskirts, on the outside. I believe their ancestors truly did do that. So I believe there's a legitimate claim that they once lived amongst the house of Israel. That's my personal belief based off my study and research. But in modern times, what's happening is you see there's a rush to make them Jewish, European Jewish. All right. Here's another one. Another image. These people, you can go look it up. They are gangster for real. Like she got the New York, she's thugged out. She like, what? I'm Judah, baby. She's for real, right? Like these people, you can watch them on YouTube. You can see different things. They just come out the airport, I believe. That's the airport in Tel Aviv, it looks like, by those pillars. But bottom line is they are passionate about their Hebrew identity, their Israelite identity. Even though they're converts, they don't know that. And they're just trying to attach themselves to what they believe is to be true, even though it's not. And you have these Ashkenazi Jewish people that are literally scouring the earth, trying to gather the strangers that once lived amongst the house of Israel to incorporate them into their Jewishness. Not Israel, but Jewishness. All right. Any questions so far?
A question per se, but a comment. I have an acquaintance who is from Israel.
Mm-hmm.
And when I came into the truth of this and I told her that, you know, you guys are not the people we are, she went and she did her research and she came back and she said to me, no, they are the people because they've been living in the land for a long time. And I couldn't refute that because that is in fact true.
No, it's not. That's a lie. Since what, 1940?
I know that.
Like since what, 1940?
I know that the state of Israel was formed in 1948.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, well, what she said to me is that her mother was born there while her father came down from Europe. So,
okay.
Her mother was living in from before 1948, at least her foreparents. So I think the possibility exists that there may have been some of them who were actually there for a good
No. Reason being is like this. And now it depends. It's vague. You said this is an Israeli person and her mother. So I don't know all the details, but I'm telling you in general principle, there are very few authentically European Jewish people living in Palestinian territory. It wasn't happening like that. They weren't living there like that. They weren't. They weren't. That's a whole different move. But it's not even really a debatable issue, because that's not even necessarily the land of Israel. That's a different story. So ultimately, it's not to get hung up on a piece of land or dirt, because people move. Like, we didn't spontaneously pop up in the Caribbean. I mean, we've been there for 400 years, but where were we at before then? That's horrible. Anyway, just my mind's thinking about all the different things. Like, all this is horrible. To be in captivity, no matter if it's an island or a continent, for 400 years, that's a shame. All right, let's move forward. These are Yemeni Jews, or otherwise known as Temani Jews. These are also a mixed group of people. These are the mixed children of the original Edomite Jews of Yemen. Teman is a descendant of Esau. These people are known as Temani Jews. These are basically Edomite Jews as well. But again, these are like the mulatto mixed kids that run things now. These aren't how they originally look. All right. These are people that they're the mixed kids. I'm sorry, I just got to keep. I don't know how else to say it. These are the mixed offspring of the original Edomite Jews that lived in Yemen. All right, so they just look all kinds of funny. Now, what's sad is this, and I'm gonna break it down. So this is what they look like now. Again, you would say this is your classic Arab look. These are mixed kids. Ironically, the word Arab means mixed or mixture, but still, these are a mixed people, but their root does go back to Esau, Edom. This is what they look like 100 years ago. Okay, so you can see, even though it's a black and white image, they were dark. Do you get what I'm saying? But when you're dealing with like the Ottoman Turk, aka Magog, House of Togarmah invasion going on, and then you start raping women and you start marrying women and you start intermingling and having mixed kids, you go from that to this. All right. But these, I want to say this is one of the original first images of Yemeni Jews that came out of Yemen. And again, these are the descendants of a lineage of Esau. Even here, these are mixed people, but again, their root does go back to Esau. All right. Now, here's a very, very sad thing. And when I was putting this slide together, it made me want to cry. It made me want to break down and cry, like real talk. So let's move forward. The last group of people that we'll talk about is the Ethiopian Jews. So earlier I mentioned that there's only one group of Negro people that have been allowed or selected to be called Jewish. Would you guys agree with that?
I don't know yet if I should agree, or I don't know yet.
I mean, either you do or you
But
don't.
I think what you're saying.
So there's only one group of people, a black people, an African people, that Jewish people approve and authorize to even remotely say, yeah, I'm Jewish. And that is the Ethiopian Jew. The Ethiopian Jew is the only one in Africa that's authorized or allowed to be a black Jew. If you want to say I'm a black Hebrew Israelite, they're the ones that can say it. Well, I don't understand. I'm an Ethiopian Jew, right? They're like, what's the problem? And these are the only people really that look like us, right? These are the only ones that look remotely like us. Here's some more. Again, these are Ethiopian Jewish people. Here's another one. They kind of look familiar, right? Would you agree they look familiar?
They do. They look like us.
So we have to ask ourselves a question. Let's ask the question. I'm going to ask the question. Why do you think, I'm asking you guys, why do you think they, as a Black African people, are allowed to call themselves Jewish? Do you know why? What do you think? What are your thoughts?
Well, that's going to have to be because of some kind of mix. It depends on the mix.
Mm-hmm.
So who are they mixed with?
I'm thinking two things.
What are you thinking?
The story of Solomon.
Okay.
And I'm thinking the baptism by, what's his name? Who baptized the Ethiopian eunuch.
All right.
So
that's good.
That's good.
That's good. That's a good thought. That's a good train of thought to think about. What you got?
Yeah, actually, I was thinking the same thing regarding the issue of the Ethiopian eunuch in the book of Acts, I believe, and also the known history, there's a known legend that this descendant of Solomon, Menelik, I think, is connected to Solomon.
So,
hello.
The very, very good thoughts to run down. Very good. Like, I'm pretty proud. Those are very good observations to think about. So we got the whole Menelik action going on, that story. Some of them say we're from the tribe of Dan. That's good, right? You got the Ethiopian eunuch. So Ethiopian, but then you got to look at biblically, what did Ethiopia mean biblically? Did it mean our modern day understanding of the place of Ethiopia, or did it mean an African in general? Something to think about. I will give you the answer. And this really is the answer. These people, our brothers here, actually are the descendants of Esau, Edom. These are Idumeans. These are people that have a bloodline lineage that goes back to Esau, Edom. There's a reason why the Ethiopian church has certain documents, certain records that our people in West Africa didn't have, because these people were the ones that were left in charge and were ruling at the time of the dispersion. So if anybody would have our stuff, it would be them. So then you also have the situation where, because you have the Idumean Jews that intermarried with the Khazar Ashkenazi Jews, literally 1/3 of all European Ashkenazi Jews have a forefather that looks like these brothers. That's what happened.
Can you repeat the last statement, please?
So, European Jews, modern European Jews, the white people, 1/3 of European Ashkenazi Jews has a paternal ancestor, the great pappy, that was an Idumean that looks like these brothers.
And this has been genetically proven.
Yes. That's the reason why the European Ashkenazi Jews cannot deny these black people as being black Jews. Because 1/3 of all European Jews share a similar or the same paternal ancestry. Basically, 1 in 3 Jewish people descends from somebody like these guys.
All right. Question.
Yes.
In Genesis chapter 10, it says that one of the sons of one of the descendants of Japheth or Japheth is Ashkenaz. So in my head, I've always associated Ashkenazi with the descendants of Japheth.
Yes, that's true.
These guys, if they're Idumeans, would therefore be the descendants of Shem.
Yes, that's true.
How did these guys get to be the forefathers of Japheth's guys?
Because
yes,
they were
intermarrying, but I guess in a way I'm still thinking that there are pure bloodlines coming down still. So the bloodline of Japheth, at least one child would have kept it Japheth. As with Ham and also with Shem. So
right.
This is kind of a little strange and far out for me to grasp the connection.
How's that? Because you have like modern times. We don't even got to go back that far. You got people right now that have they've intermixed with other people. You got island folks right now. You got folks from Jamaica and Turks and Caicos and Dominica that are laid up with Brad right now. And they got a mixed baby. And now that mixed baby has a choice. Do I go and lean towards my mother's side, or I lean towards my dominant male father's side? And because of our history and different things like that, and also the programming, especially in the Caribbean, there's going to be a tendency, and also South America, to go with the white. So then you're going to try to find you whatever basic person that's going to accept you from that race. And then you're going to have a child that's going to be less black as you. And then you're going to keep doing that over and over again until you just white it out. And also you have to look biblically, at what was proclaimed against Esau. He was told that his seed would be spoiled. He was told that his seed would be destroyed. And that's what happened. Now these people, as you want to say, right? These people didn't, and obviously you look at them, they look as close to us as anybody else on this earth. And genetically, they have the sibling DNA of E1B1B. West African, Bantu, Negro, Caribbean, whatever we want to call ourselves, we have the paternal haplotype genetically of E1B1A. They have the paternal haplotype of E1B1B. They have the sibling brother haplotype to us. Meaning, when you look at the root of both E1B1A and E1B1B, the root is going to be E1B1 / you could say Isaac.
A question now before you go on. Do the Ashkenazi have the DNA root of E1B1B?
Yes, 1/3 do. 1/3. Meaning, I'm trying not to be vulgar with it, but your modern day Jewish people, I got to be clear about this, your modern day Jewish people are a mixture of various races. They're not pure. Like when you look at the genetic studies of quote unquote Jewish people and the Jewish DNA, it's like 10 different haplotypes. It's not like that. They're a mixed people that have been bound by a code of honor to uphold the lie in order to keep their hustle going. And they've been allowed to because of our disobedience. And you got like these brothers here, right? They couldn't help. They were born as descendants of Esau. It is what it is. We're the descendants of Isaac, or descendants of, I apologize. We're the descendants of Israel. They're the descendants of Esau. Okay. When you look at the overall admixture of Ethiopians, it's going to be a mixture of like 80% Esau, Edom. The other varying percentage is going to be Camic or Hamitic. And then you're going to have a small percentage that is actually Israelite. There are Israelites, bloodline Israelites that live amongst the Ethiopians. But again, the majority of Ethiopians are descended from Esau, Edom. And that's the reason why they are accepted by the white European Jews as Jews, because they can't deny them. No matter what they look like, no matter their blackness, it's proven by DNA that, sorry guys, 1/3 of us share the same common ancestor with these guys. And in fact, this is the bloodline that they use primarily to prove that they're from the land of Israel. The Middle East. Yes.
When you speak of Ethiopia, what geographical region are you really speaking about? Is it
literal Ethiopia, East Africa?
Same Ethiopia that we know as Ethiopia now?
Yeah, these are Ethiopians.
Okay.
These aren't just some random, these are East African Ethiopian Jews. Now, again, whether you talk about go ahead.
Yeah, I asked because you made the statement that these are the descendants of Edom, of Esau,
yes.
who were ruling up to about the time of AD 70.
Right.
So I'm thinking back to, the Antiquities, where it spoke about Antipas, who was the father of Herod the Great. So he was Edomite.
Yep.
So you're saying that those descendants,
right here, yeah,
who were in Judea, that's that line, but there were other persons from this Ethiopia who are also other descendants of Esau from this geographical location who were also in rulership position up to that time.
Yes.
Okay, I got it.
And don't be afraid to ask questions, because I understand maybe like a slang or a way of saying might be different for you guys to understand. So I don't mind repeating. Any other questions? Y'all got to talk back to me. There's only 3 of y'all.
I'm good for now. It's coming together.
I'm good.
All right. So again, a lot of us, we get hung up on color and this, that, and everything else, but really it's about breaking it down at the root. These are Ethiopian Jews. These are the only Black Jews that have been accepted by the white ruling Jewish people. And again, it's because they share a common ancestry. 1/3 white European, whited out Jewish people have a paternal ancestor that looks like these people. They descend from a Black man that descended from Esau, Edom. They share the same ancestry, basically. So yeah, 1/3, 1 in 3 European Jewish people has a paternal ancestor that does go back to Esau, Edom. That's true. But their overall makeup is Japhetic. So that's the thing that we have to understand. Not everything is black and white. All right. There's gradations and things like that. But that's the reason why the Ethiopian Jews were embraced and accepted as being Jews, because number one, they already had the culture, they already had the history, they already had manuscripts that date back ancient times, right? They had all the books. They had the book of Jasher, they had the book of Jubilees, they had the book of Enoch and Geese in their language. So, you know what I'm saying? These people maintained most of our antiquities. So when we all got scattered and they got scattered, they carried on with the lineage where we escaped with the, clothes on our back. All right. Again, it's very interesting because you're going to see a very mixed look because we're Hebrews. We're Hebrew Israelites, but we're Hebrews. There's going to be a common look. So when you look, a lot of the women have a very similar look to our women. We're related. But there's distinct looks. And again, even for them, there's some intermixing and mixtures that's happened over time and things like that. And what's crazy is they are an oppressed people in the land of Israel today. The Ethiopian Jew is like, for real, they are mistreated. They've been sterilized, just like they get treated bad too. Second-class citizens, third-class citizens in Israel. It's sad what's happened to them. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I know what the history between Edom and Israel is, but I'm not trying to see our folks get done like that. All right, let's fast forward. This is one that made me want to cry when I break this down. So I really should have had this group together. You have the Yemeni Jews, right? The Tamani Jews. These are the mixed kids that descend from the Edomite Jews that lived in Yemen, okay? This is what they look like in ancient times. It's pretty cool. See the fringes. You know what I mean? They had different style of fringes going on even back then, but they did what they had to do. You know what I'm saying? But this is your modern Yemenite mixed out Tamani Jew. Israel still is in the land of Yemen, but they are known as Akdam. And what is happening now?
They're known as Akdam.
Say again?
They're known as Akdam.
Yeah, Akdam. Write that down. You can go look it up. They are the lowest of the low in Yemen. These are Israelites. I haven't been able to determine what tribe they come from. But these are Israelites that live in Yemen, and they are the untouchable class in Yemen. These are the ones that they have going into gutters. Like, you know what I mean by gutter. They going in the sewage gutter. They're cleaning gutters by hand. That's horrible. They live in.
That were most affected by the famine that's going on down there?
Yes. Now, really, everybody is, but they are at the bottom.
And you think they're Israel?
Yes, they are. They are E1B1A Israelites, the Akdam. Now, there's been some intermixture with some of, like, you know, the broke Yemenis, the broke Edomite Jews, or the broke Edomites that live in Yemen. But in general, they're just as much as a Hebrew Israelite as any one of us. So it makes me sad. Nobody really talks about them like that, but write that name down and go look it up. Do some research. There's plenty of documentaries and videos and things about them. Okay. Akdam. These are the true Hebrew Israelites that live in Yemen. Them other ones that look like they're mixed out, they look kind of funny looking Arab. Those are like the mixed kids of Esau, Edom, and different Ottoman Turkic people that ruled the area, and they're just the mixed kids from that generation. But then you have the actual Israelites that have essentially they're enslaved. Like the abject level of poverty is on a level that will break your heart. The struggle, like it's real. It's real. And that's why for me, I look at things kind of scaled back, big picture, when I see what's happening amongst all the places we're scattered. Because once you're able to break this down and see where our people have been scattered at, you know, you're like, okay, the Sidi tribe in India, that's us. The Shidi tribe in Pakistan, that's us. The Habshi in Iran is us. The Akdam in Yemen is us, right? We were scattered everywhere. We're in Saudi Arabia. We're in Kuwait. We're all over the place. We're all over the place.
All right, pause again. When you say we, is this Southern Kingdom or Northern Kingdom? Or
I'm talking about all of us.
okay.
I'm talking about the house of Israel. Now, specifically in general, the house of Judah was scattered everywhere. But the northern kingdom also got messed up too. Their story is a little bit different, because when you look at what happened to them, there's a small subset of those that once were in West Africa with us, all right, but then they either migrated away or they tried to run away when the Muslims came through, and then when the Christians came through, they fled, but then they got rolled up by Ishmael's descendants and other Idumeans, like the Fulani tribe, right? Because the Fulani tribe goes from East Africa all the way to West Africa. They're a nomadic tribe, and they're very violent, and they enslave people, primarily us. And so what you have happen is, like, for instance, you have the Somali Bantu. That's another group of us. I should have put them on here as well. Somali Bantu are not Somalis, but they were captured Israelites that were brought from Tanzania or Tanganyika up to Somali. And they were enslaved by the Somalians. And so even in the modern times, like going to the 1990s, the Somalis view them as left in. And they would come in and rob from them. They would rape their women. They would steal their fruits and vegetables. They would tear up their land. They would oppress our people, the Somali Bantu. That's the reason why there's so many Somali Bantu in the United States, is because of the persecution they were going through. Then they had to live in like refugee camps in Kenya, and then all kind of crazy stuff was going on. So now you have Somali Bantu, which they're Israelites, but they're primarily Muslim because they got rolled up by Muslims. No different than America. And then the Caribbean and you know, our part of the world, we got captured and rolled up by Christians. So therefore it's not a shock that most of our people are Christians, or more specifically, some variant of Catholic or Santeria or whatever offshoot we want to kind of pick and choose from, right? So, but yeah, these are our people. These are our children. a lot of the adults don't make it, and all you're left with is young people that just grow up and struggle, and they get abused, and they live off of the waste of the rich, wealthy people that once were. They're not rich, wealthy much more anymore, but they struggle. They live in on Rock Street. Look at you. You got rocks. That's your house. You're living in squalor. It's rough. My heart is for our people. I really want us to gather and to come together in common unity and put down and put away our different differences. I know we have them, but all right. Any other questions before I move on?
As you ponder and you say your heart is for your people. Remember that our Father said, "Not by might nor by power, but by His Spirit." He has said in His word that it will happen, that we will be gathered, so it will happen. What instruments He's going to use to do it are beyond my imagination, because we are so scattered, not just geographically, but also by language. So we don't speak the same, and even those of us who speak the same language, our dialects are different, words and meanings are different. But He said, "Not by might, nor by power, but by His Spirit." So it will happen.
Any other questions or statements you want to make? Go ahead and make them before we get into the scripture real quick.
Yeah, I just need clarification on this Bantu expansion that you mentioned.
Yes.
I suck at geography. So when you speak of the Bantu, which region of Africa is this you're speaking about? Is it east, west, or somewhere in the middle? Is it north or south?
It's essentially Nigeria, Cameroon, Congo. But really the main route is going to be more Nigeria, Cameroon. Or you might hear the term Biafra. That's the root of our expansion is believed to have began there. Like that was like our home front. Put your flag down. Nigeria, Cameroon. And then from Nigeria, Cameroon, it spread to more Congo, from Congo down to Namibia, from Congo into more Southeast Africa, like Zimbabwe and Tanzania, right? You just start having the Northern Kingdom specifically coming to that region and spreading out. And then you also have, where we'll get to next, Europeans brought many of our ancestors from Europe and dropped them off into the west coast of Africa. Like they dropped them off butt booty naked without a dime.
Yeah.
And then they were able to assimilate back into the Northern Kingdom tribes that were already there and some of the other groups that were there.
So is there a particular reason why it's called Bantu?
It's yes and no. Bantu being the people, right? And yeah, like so you're looking at, I can't go into deep right now, so I can only give you a little bit right now.
That's fine. I just wanted to understand if Bantu is a word that
it's an actual word.
Indicates a particular region where the people were located, or does it have a specific meaning? The people from Jerusalem, the black people, the niggers. I don't know what Bantu means. Right.
Yeah, you can go look it up. But I'll give you this. Ba, Ubuntu, right? Is the same as the Hebrew bar, like BAR, bar. but if not, we don't say bar, we just say ba.
Oh.
So it's it's a word and it has a meaning. I want you to look it up. But it's Bantu.
It's spelled
Also,
B-A-N-T-U.
B-A-N-T-U. All right. And you'll find that most of the Bantu tribes have Ba as far as a descendant of or people of. Right?
Oh, so is that
like Barjona, like when you say Sarmin Barjona. Yeah. Right? But so we'll say like Ba Maleke or Bamon.
Meaning the son of.
Or Bakongo. All those, that's a part of their modern Hebrew. So like you probably missed it, but when I was going over the Hebrew alphabet.
No, I've been following.
Okay, so
making sense now. So
you got it?
Bet would be the house of.
Right, house of.
Ah, okay.
Yes. So, but I'm going to break that down deeper once we finally get released to go back into that. But any other questions before we move on? Because we got to get into the scripture real quick. It's important to set the foundation for the beginning of this lesson before time runs away from us.
No other questions from me for now.
Okay, I need a reader. Julian, you got your Bible with you?
Yeah.
Can you go ahead and read Ezra chapter 3?
Chapter 3.
And starting off at verse 10. You're just going to read
Ezra chapter 3.
Yeah, Ezra chapter 3, starting at verse 10. Read the rest of that chapter. And then, Sheril, if you can, you're going to go ahead and read chapter 4 for me, please.
All right. Ezra chapter 3, starting from verse 1.
No, verse 10.
And from verse 10, sorry. Verse 10.
Yes.
And when the builders laid the foundation of the temple of the Lord, they set the priests in their apparel with trumpets, and the Levites, the son of Asaph, with cymbals, to praise the Lord after the ordinance of David, king of Israel. And they sang together by course in praising and giving thanks unto the Lord, because he is good, for his mercy endureth forever toward Israel. And all the people shouted with a great voice when they praised the Lord, because the foundation of the house of the Lord was laid. But many of the priests and Levites and chief of the fathers, who were ancient men that had seen the first house, when the foundation of this house was laid before their eyes, wept with a loud voice, and many shouted aloud for joy, so that the people could not discern the noise of the shout of joy from the noise of the weeping of the people. For the people shouted with a loud voice, and the noise was heard afar off.
All right, stop right there. Thank you. All right, so what you're having is our people are coming out of captivity. 70 years has passed. We're coming out. The foundation has been laid, and the people are weeping. The people are shouting for joy. They're excited. They're happy because we've laid the foundation of the temple of the Lord, right? We done laid the foundation of the temple of Yah, and we have outfitted the Levites and all those with the symbols, and everybody's excited and ready to go. And we're good. The foundation is set, and everybody is weeping, and everybody is celebrating, everybody's happy and everything like that. And it says, the people, which people? The people could not discern the noise of the shout of joy from the noise of the weeping of the people. For the people shouted with a loud shout, and the noise was heard afar off. I start here for a reason. Go ahead and now read chapter 4, verse 1, starting at verse 1.
Okay, Ezra 4, verse 1, reading from the King James Version. Now when the adversaries of Judah and Benjamin heard that the children of the captivity builded the temple unto the Lord God of Israel, then they came to Zerubbabel and to the chief of the fathers and said unto them, let us build with you, for we see your God.
What just happened? What?
I just said the host would like you to unmute.
I just took care of it. I have no idea what just happened.
I don't know either. I thought I
That's
unmuted.
evil. That's evil. All right, start over again. I don't know what that was.
I don't know either.
They don't want this truth. They don't want this truth coming out. Go ahead. Hit that verse 1 up again.
Ezra 4, 1 and 2. Now when the adversaries of Judah and Benjamin heard that the children of the captivity builded the temple unto the Lord God of Israel, then they came to Zerubbabel and to the chief of the fathers and said unto them, let us build with you, for we seek your God as ye do, and we do sacrifice unto him since the days of Esarhaddon, king of Ashur, which brought us up hither.
Keep going.
But Zerubbabel and Jeshua and the rest of the chief of the fathers of Israel said unto them, ye have nothing to do with us to build a house unto our God, but we ourselves together will build unto the Lord God of Israel, as King Cyrus, the king of Persia, hath commanded us.
Stop right there. All right, so now you got to ask yourself a question. Who are these strange people that rolled up on us? And again, it starts off from the jump saying, now when the adversaries or the adversaries of Judah and Benjamin heard, they came. These people are not for us. They ain't got no good. These people, under a false pretense, came talking about, hey, let us help you build the temple. And then boys was like, hell no. What do you have to do with the house of Israel? I don't even know you. It'd be like you go on vacation and come back to your own house and someone else is in your house. Talking about, can I stay? I can help you pay the rent. I can help clean up. What are you doing in my house? I went on vacation and came back and you up in here. In this situation, the Southern Kingdom was exiled for 70 years. When they came back, a strange group of people came on the scene talking about, let us build the temple with you. For since the time of Esarhaddon, we've worshiped your Elohim. So I will spoil it for you and just tell you. These people are some of the ancestors of the Sephardic Jews of Europe. The Sephardic Jews have a lineage that does go back to the land of Israel. They're not Israelites. These are the strange people that were put there that adopted ways of our people. They pretend to be us.
So just a confirmation.
In essence, what you have, even in times old, whether it's in India or in Europe, it's like you got the black church and the white church. So we're doing our own thing, they're doing their own thing. I got to break it down for time's sake because I don't want to keep us here much longer, but I do have a lot to give you. So I'm giving you the bullet points right now, and then we're going to break it down later, okay? And this is going to explain a lot. Read the rest of that chapter, and actually, let's go ahead and read it. Let's go ahead and read a little bit more. Go ahead and read. Read starting at verse 4.
Verse 4. Mm-hmm. Then the people of the land weakened the hands of the people of Judah and troubled them in building and hired.
Hold on. So then the people of the land, these are squatters on the land of Israel. These are squatters. We were gone for 70 years and other folks done moved in and they in your bed, right? Let us stick around with y'all, right? We back now. Which you don't have no parts in none of this. Then they got upset. It says, then the people of the land weakened the hands of the people of Judah and troubled them in building. I won't stop you again yet for a while. Read verse 5 and keep going.
And hired counselors against them to frustrate their purpose all the days of Cyrus, king of Persia, even until the reign of Darius, king of Persia. And in the reign of Ahasuerus, in the beginning of his reign, wrote they unto him an accusation against the inhabitants of Judah and Jerusalem. And in the days of Artaxerxes, wrote Bishlam, Mithridath, Tabeel, and the rest of their companions unto Artaxerxes, king of Persia. And the writing of the letter was written in the Syrian tongue and interpreted in the Syrian tongue. Rehum, the chancellor, and Shimshai, the scribe, wrote a letter against Jerusalem to Artaxerxes, the king, in this sort. Then wrote Rehum, the counselor, and Shimshai, the scribe, and the rest of their companions, the Dinaites, the Apharsathites, the Tarpelites, the Apharsites, the Archivites, the Babylonians, the Susanchites, the Dehavites, and the Elamites, and the rest of the nations whom the great and noble Asnapar brought over and set in the cities of Samaria, and the rest that are on this side the river, and at such a time. This is a copy of the letter that they sent unto him, even unto Artaxerxes the king. Thy servants, the men on this side of the river, and at such a time. Be it known unto the king that the Jews which came up from thee to us are come unto Jerusalem, building the rebellious and the bad city, and have set up the walls thereof, and joined the foundations. Be it known now unto the king that if this city be builded and the walls set up again, then will they not pay toll, tribute, and custom, and so thou shalt damage the revenue of the kings. Now because we have maintenance from the king's palace, and it was not meet for us to see the king's dishonor, therefore have we sent and certified the king, that search may be made in the book of the records of thy fathers, so shalt thou find in the book of the records, and know that this city is a rebellious city, and hurtful unto kings and provinces, and that they have moved sedition within the same of old time. For which cause was this city destroyed? We certify the king that if this city be builded again, and the walls thereof set up, by this means thou shalt have no portion on this side the river.
Stop right there. All right. That's how they got down. They brought the brothers to court. They went before the king and talked all that business. They spoke against Judah, Benjamin, which also encompasses Levi as well. And basically they frustrated the efforts to build the temple, to build up Jerusalem. And work stopped for many years because of this, until time they just said, we don't care, and we're going to keep building anyway. A new generation came on through, and they were like, we're going to build it up anyway. So I need to break that down. The true Sephardic Jews, not the Ashkenazi Jews, the Sephardic Jews, they have ties that go back to these people. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of story. There are 3 types, write this down. All of you guys write this down. There are 3 types of Sephardic Jews in the world and during the time of our enslavement. 1, court Jews. Court, like I'm going to take you to court. C-O-U-R-T, court. Court Jews. These, what you would say, are your modern day bankers, lobbyists, lawyers, financiers. These are your advisors to royalty, major business, major governing entities, like nations. These are people that go before kings and princes. They go before powerful, influential people that make decisions. They got the money. And they're good at making money. And they're good at hustling. These are the court Jews. These are the people that financed the transatlantic slave trade. That's 1. Number 2, you have what is known as Porter Jews. P-O-R-T-E-R, Porter. These are the Jewish families that established mercantile trade networks around the world. Meaning, they're the ones that built the merchant ships, and they're the ones that developed trade networks in ports throughout the earth. These are the same people that owned and also transported us as cargo, not on slave ships, but on merchant ships. So when you're looking for our history as to where we came from and where they brought us from and what they brought us on, don't look for no slave ship. There's no such thing as a slave ship. There's enslaved people, primarily children, on those slave ships or on those ships, but those were regular merchant ships that brought every other cargo and produce you could think of. All the cattle and the pigs and the sheep and the goats and whatever else they wanted to bring, they brought us to. They used those same merchant ships to bring us. Lastly, you have plantation Jews. These are the people that own plantations in Jamaica, in Suriname, in Barbados, in Guyana, all these different places, right? These were people that had the business of actually running a plantation. These 3 groups of Sephardic Jewish people, not Ashkenazi, Sephardic, were the ones that did the dirt and the damage to our ancestors. Now, I broke that down to you. We will go over examples next time. But I got to give you the business in regards to what happened to our ancestors.
Excuse me, what's the last one you mentioned? The last group of Jews?
Plantation Jews.
Plantation Jews. All right.
So to recap, you have court Jews, portal Jews, and plantation Jews. Again, these are the Sephardic Jewish people that literally constructed and implemented and executed the transatlantic slave trade. The court Jews financed it, they insured it, they paid the captains, they paid the money to secure the hands on the deck of the ship. These are the same people that literally built the ship, owned the ship, okay? And then these are the same people that literally ran plantations and actually owned Hebrew Israelites as slaves. So now I got to break something down to you. Whenever you talk about Jewish people and you talk to Jewish people, their only go-to they got is the Holocaust. That's all they got. That's all they can reach back to. And even that is that, okay? You ask yourself, but what about the Inquisition? Because everybody knows, even black people know, that there was such a thing called the Spanish Inquisition. And they know that Jewish people were persecuted. Why don't they ever talk about that? And if they were persecuted, like they say they were in history, how did they go from being this persecuted, tortured, destroyed people to you're a banker, you're a lawyer, you go on a ship going around the world and you running plantations? What happened? So when I'm researching and finding out what happened, you find out that they switched. You know, because this is a group of people that could jump in and out of their whiteness. I'm white, I'm not. I'm white, I'm not. Depending on my circumstance, I'm Jewish. And I'll throw a few Hebrew words out there, and I will, throw my Holocaust card up and talk about Hitler and the concentration camps. And I'll play a violin, make you feel sad. And I'll say a number that's questionable: 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust. And nobody wants to talk at the real hard facts, but whatever. We're going to say that's what the official record is. 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust. Got it. Okay. Don't dig too deep on that. You might find something else, but that's what they say. So then you go from there. What about the Inquisition? You come to find out that they essentially did false conversion to Catholicism. So you got the black church and you got the white church. Or essentially, in truth, you got the biblical Hebrew Israelites and you have the white converts. And they're both doing their own thing. We don't mess with y'all. Y'all don't mess with us. We've tried to in times past, but it's not like that. When the Catholic crown comes through with that sword and they say convert to Catholicism or die, we can't help who we are by blood, and it's all in the face. They can jump in and out all they want to. So it was real easy to say, I'm a Catholic. They became known as two things. Write these two words down. New Christian, and Moreños. And I'll put that up later, how to spell those, and give you links to that. Essentially what it came down to was this. the biblical black Hebrew Israelites of Spain, Portugal, France, the white converts to Talmudism, okay? Both groups, very good at making money. Both groups conducted business, they had trade, they had a whole mercantile thing going on, seafaring men, all that. One group, our group, got persecuted for who we are. The other group said, no, I'm good. You can call me Michael. My name is John. I'm good. So what did they do? They were given a choice. You either convert, in which you get to keep your power, your authority, your wealth, all those things. You get to keep everything. All you got to do is kiss the ring and convert to Catholicism. And we'll leave you alone. Or you can get the rack. Or we'll put you in a dungeon somewhere. Or we'll do an auto de fe where we basically lynch you. Or we'll just enslave you. So what did group number 2 do? They said, I'm good. I will become a Catholic. And then what did they do? They turned right back around and oppressed, persecuted, and took advantage of the true bloodline biblical Hebrew Israelites. Laws were made against us for simply being who we are. It's not a religion. It's literally who you are. You became anathema. You became a curse. You became, as a people, a cursed people to be destroyed. Because you know what? You killed Jesus. You people killed Jesus. So therefore, you're a cursed people. Oh, and guess what? We're going to go ahead and steal your children. We're going to steal your children from out of your arms and give them to other Christians to raise as their own and call them godparents. That's where godparents come from. They will snatch little biblical Hebrew boys and girls and have them raised up in some other folks' house. That's what they did. Then when that wasn't enough, they went ahead and forced them into a baptism, Catholicism, made them Christians or Catholics, and they sent them to work in the sugarcane plantations. And then from there, they made their way to the Caribbean, where they were still cutting down sugarcane with all the ants and getting cut by all the leaves, little children. So I think I can do it. Let me go back to my slide, and then I'm going to stop for questions and answers, and then we'll be done. It should be pretty quick here. I'll be able to power through these slides real quick. Let me put the sound on, and let me put that on. Let me do that. All right, write these scriptures down. History of ancient Israel, how they were scattered. Write down 2 Kings chapter 18, verses 11 and 12 to find out about the Assyrian dispersion of the northern kingdom. You can go ahead and read Jeremiah chapter 39 through chapter 43 for the Babylonian dispersion. You can read Luke 21, verses 20 through 21 in regards to the Roman dispersion, 70 AD. And then you can go look at the Inquisition, transatlantic slave trade, and the Arab slave trade when you're looking at pretty much the entire part of Deuteronomy 28, starting at verse 25. I'm gonna leave that up for a few more seconds. You'll be able to watch the replay later and catch it on the replay if you need to get it back again. All right, let's keep going. Can we link the Negro to Israel's captivity? Yes, we can. When you look at the Talmud has a Midrash Sanhedrin 1125, where a question was asked, where to did the exiles of the 10 tribes of Israel go? And it was responded essentially to Africa. This is in the Talmud, Midrash Sanhedrin 1125. Again, that's where you can go reference where this is at. The question was asked about the northern kingdom of Israel. Where did he, bin Esarhaddon, exile the 10 tribes of Israel to? And it was said to Africa. All right, the Roman dispersion. This is from the book From Babylon to Timbuktu, page 84. In the year 65 BC, the Roman armies under General Pompey captured Jerusalem. In 70 AD, General Vespasian and his son Titus put an end to the Jewish state with great slaughter. During the period of the military governors of Palestine, many outrages and atrocities were committed against the residue or the remnant of the people. During the period from Pompey to Julius, it has been estimated that over 1 million Yahudim fled into Africa, fleeing from Roman persecution and slavery. The markets were full of black Yahudim. All right. That's from the book From Babylon to Timbuktu, page 84, which also breaks down, and the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from one end of the earth, even unto the other, and there shalt thou serve other gods, which neither you nor your fathers have known, even wood and stone. All right. Let's talk about the Inquisition. All right. So, I don't know how it was for you. It was a little bit different and more, it was kind of raw for us here in America. I used to wonder why our people were so deathly afraid of the KKK, why they were so deathly afraid of, white men in white sheets with torches, and why were they burning crosses on our front lawn? I don't understand that. And why were we so afraid of that? And that was until I got older and I was able to research what they were doing, what they were saying. All right, I'm trying to hold on. It's tough. It's tough. This is from a scene in a Netflix TV show. It's not very good. I don't really recommend watching it. I think the Most High only had me really go to this just so I could see what was actually happening. This is in, I want to say, Colombia or something like that. I'm not sure exactly where this is at. It's in South America, where this particular scene was taking place. But this actually shows a depiction of an autos de fe during the 1600s. All right. This is what they did to us. This is what they did to the house of Israel. These people, when they say, oh, I'm a good Catholic Christian organization, they're telling the truth. The KKK, the Ku Klux Klan, is a Catholic organization. They are a Christian organization. And that's what they did in regards to the Inquisition of Hebrew Israelite people, our forefathers and foremothers. They would kill like this. Meanwhile, they would take the children and enslave them and have them working in plantations. When you look at the TV shows and the movies, they show you some big, strapping man or a grown woman, and that's not the case always. What it was, more often than not, was a 12, 13, or 14-year-old boy or girl was brought over on these cargo ships and transported to the Caribbean, transported to the Americas. But in this, it's literally a screenshot of an auto de fe happening. I was shocked that they even showed this for a TV show, no less. In the book, History of an Ancient, in the book, America Being an Accurate Description of the New World, Conquest of the Empires of Mexico and Peru and their ancient later wars with their several plantations, many and rich islands, blah, blah, blah. This is talking about what happened. Again, I'm trying to say history of ancient Israel. Can we link the Negro to Israel's captivity? It goes on to say in that book, the Portuguese that dwelt on this island informed the Netherlanders that few lived above 50 years there, yet notwithstanding the great gain tempted them to tarry, several of them having 200 or 300 Negroes that worked in the sugar mills, that John III, King of Portugal, sent a colony there above 200 years before, whom, though the unwholesome air destroyed, yet the place was not left desolate, for he sent new inhabitants, who first settled in Guinea, that's in Africa, next in Angola, that's in Africa, and lastly on the island of Saint Thome, that so they might be the better used to the air, that said king sold all those Jews for slaves that refused to embrace the Roman religion, and caused their children to be baptized, from who coming there in great numbers, most of the present inhabitants were descended. The ancient books know who we are. They tell you plainly because they didn't expect us to read. We weren't the audience to be reading about ourselves being sold into slavery and conditioned. The Portuguese that dwelt on this island, and this is talking, I believe, about Sao Tome, okay? They informed the Netherlanders, thus being the Dutch, that few lived above 50 years there because their bodies weren't accustomed to that. That's why they try to force you to get a vaccine when you go to West Africa, because you're not normal natural there. So your body's not used to that. So you got to get you a shot for this and that and everything else just so that you'll survive. Because that place was killing these people. So they weren't living past 50 out there. It was taking a toll on their bodies until they developed the proper vaccines to be able to withstand and live out there longer. All right. That's it. Not sure what happened, why that jumped out like that. It's a lot to take in. Any questions before we close out? You guys are all muted.
You know, although we know some of these things already, still, every time you hear it, it's still painful. Every time you see the images, it still hurts. So every single time.
Yeah, I wanted to make the observation concerning a point that you made regarding the slave ship, because I was looking at a documentary and some guy was basically denying the whole transatlantic slave trade. And one of the strongest points that he had was that there are no remnants or no sign of the slave ships that have been mentioned in history. And to me, that was significant, and to a certain extent, I almost fell for the trap, only later to realize that there were not really slave ships that were designed specifically for the transporting of slaves. Right. You know, but they were actually merchant ships, as you mentioned. So I'm happy that you actually mentioned this again, and you know, confirms that actually they were not slave ships designed for that purpose, but just regular cargo ships, merchant ships that were used for that purpose. And also, while we were reading the scriptures regarding from Ezra, I think it mentioned that Benjamin and Judah started building the house again. And there were others who were in opposition, the adversaries who were in opposition. And it kind of tells me that basically this is what's going to happen again. So as we, as the leaders, attempt to rebuild the house again, that we're going to face a lot of adversity, a lot of opposition from the adversary. And basically that's what they do. That's what they taught me from their standpoint that they're supposed to do. But we as the children of Israel, we simply have to keep looking on to the Most High and ensure that we put in the work and not give in to the devices. You know, so even as we look at the scriptures, it already tells us, because even in the book of Ecclesiastes, it tells us that there's nothing new under the sun. So seeing that they did these things and this is how they operated in the past, we expect that this is how they're going to operate within even in the future and even now.
Absolutely.
In our situation, I can recall that we had to deal with the sheets, but you know, men covered in these sheets and pointy hats. I can't recall that in our history, but there are, you know, remnants of the water de fe occurrences in our history by way of the beatings and the hangings.
Right.
You know, it's just almost surreal that it's the same mode of operation which was brought over here in this territory and used against the people who they brought over here. So well, it's just grim. It's just grim.
Right, they got to pay for that. They got to pay for that. I'm very disappointed in this everything that's been going on. You know what I mean? You know, Julian, like you have pointed out, you know, we're seeing that kind of play out now with the whole Nick Cannon situation, because you got a black man with a platform that spoke the truth, and they had to come out in major opposition against that, not only to threaten him, probably with lawsuits and other things that we don't know about, okay? And then they coerced him to sit down on his platform and allow that Jewish man to get up and to say what he said. There is no way in the world I would be able to sit down with that man without giving him the business, without telling everything, without telling all the business about what they as a people have done, because they hide behind, oh, the Holocaust. Forget the Holocaust. Many people have had major atrocities that have happened to them. I understand it. I get that. People die, okay? But we as a people, of all the people of the earth, have been oppressed and violated by everybody. Even when you look at the so-called, like you look at the Native American Indians, and you think, well, they got genocided, so that's pretty rough. I mean, we didn't get genocided, but we might as well have 400 years of enslavement, oppression, rape, torture, violation, every type of cruel thing you could eat. Your mind could imagine the things that they've done to us and the things that they still do. You got Christian missionaries coming in the guise of white Jesus to Haiti, doing the things that they do to our women, children, and young boys and girls. Ain't no way, man. All I gotta say is they gotta pay. May the wrath and vengeance of the Most High Yah fall upon them for all the crimes and atrocities that have been committed against our people and all people. Nobody deserves to go through what we've been through. Nobody. There's no reparations. There's no dollar figure. There's nothing you can do to recompense for what's been done to us.
You know, that's really true. But at the same time, Duane, we have to remember that we kind of had a hand in this, you know.
Oh, our forefathers absolutely had a hand in it.
Had a contract.
Right.
Which was broken.
Mm-hmm.
And the terms of the contract, as laid out in the scriptures, says, if you don't abide by this, then this is what's going to happen.
Right.
So as painful as it is to watch, as painful as it is to listen to it, we have to remember that it is the punishment for breaking the contract.
Mm-hmm.
And so even though the perpetrators of all these atrocities are going to receive their just judgment and the just vengeance from the Most High,
mm-hmm.
we have a responsibility. And our responsibility is to go back to the contract.
Right.
Okay.
We have to go review the contract.
Mm-hmm.
And understand the terms and get back in alignment.
It's facts.
Because if we don't, we're going to continue to experience the punishment that comes with the breach of the contract.
Right.
There's one way out of our situation. And this is my understanding. And this is what I have been saying over and over. And then we can endorse. And, you know, you confirm it. I've been saying this over and over again. There is one way out. We have to return to the Most High, or Elohim, and we have to keep and abide by, any which word you want to use, his stipulated rules and regulations for how we are to live and function and operate under his government. This is a nationalistic thing. This is not a movement. It's not an organization. This is nationality. And any nation is governed by a set of laws.
Right.
And these laws are laid out by the governing bodies. It's just that in our case, We have one governing body. We have one governing entity, one governing Holy Spirit, the Elohim, the Most High. And so once you get back into right standing, the governor with the king, the leader, the ruler, then it brings you back to receive the rights, the what's the word I'm looking for? The entitlements, and all the trappings and offerings that it comes with, as promised. That's the only way out. So while we can sit here on this platform or any other platform and, you know, say that emphatically that, okay, they're just judgment, their just vengeance is coming.
Absolutely.
We also have been paying for our disobedience and our breach. And we are going to continue to pay for it at the hands of whoever the Most High has determined to dispense the payment. So we want this thing to be over. Let's get back to the covenant agreement. Come back under the auspices of the Most High. Right? Enjoy the protection and provision which it provides in this, which is provided in this government. And then, as it says, sit back and watch and see the salvation.
Right. Go to Zechariah real quick. Zechariah chapter 1. Anybody can get there. Whoever gets there first, let me know. It's absolutely imperative that we understand that you have to return back to the covenant, but there's a challenge. Because that's good, but there's a fuller, deeper level of understanding we have to get to. And there's a trap that many people fall into when they awaken as a Hebrew Israelite that I see. And that is to think one of two things. One is that all we have to do is return back to the covenant. You can't. We're too destroyed. There's no temple. We're not in the land. And when you look at the book in Torah and you look at the things that are prescribed and the things that we need to do, you literally are not able to do them. There's no priesthood established or set up. There's no functioning system in place to execute the Torah like we want to as we've awakened. So that's one of the major challenges we have. A caveat of that also is you get some people that do not see the purpose or understand the depth of Yeshua HaMashiach and who he is, number one.
Yeah.
Because most folks don't know who he is. They don't. They just absolutely don't know who he is, and the fullness of who he is. They have a concept or understanding, but they don't fully know. I've seen. And so you get some people that begin to go Torah only, where they reject anything about the New Testament, and they just think, I'm awakened now, I'm a Hebrew Israelite, and all I have to do is return to Torah. That's not going to work. It's a situation where some of them do believe that Jesus or Yeshua is there, but he's just a king, he's a Messiah, but they don't know who he is. But he's there, but the weight is on the law, statutes, and commandments. But again, when you look at the law, statutes, and commandments, we literally are not in the place to do it like we would need to. In essence, it's very similar to Moses going to Pharaoh saying, we can't do our offerings, our sacrifices to our Elohim here in the house of bondage. You're not going to sit there in the Caribbean or in America or in South America or anywhere on this earth and think you're going to turn back to Torah and the law, statutes, and commandments and everything will magically be cool. It's not. we're in the land of our captivity. You're not going to be able to do that. That being said, we have to learn and grow, learn about who we are, where we come from, humble ourselves before the Most High Yah, and learn about Torah. What does Torah say about these situations? What does the Torah, meaning instructions in the New Testament, say about loving your neighbor as yourself? Different things like that, so on and so forth. I will say one thing that I usually do after some foundational time is I always go to Ezekiel and I go through a whole process going over the sins of our ancestors. Because one other thing is some people get the tendency to get mad at the Most High for allowing these things to happen. And some people even try to justify the affliction as if the Most High ordained that and he didn't. If you can, go and just read Zechariah chapter 1, verses 15 through 17, please.
Before we read, can I just say that I'm very happy and very thankful that you kind of qualified. You said what you said just now in qualifying or in explaining that we can't do Torah as it is written. But I will also say that I'm very happy for platforms like this, where we can meet and we can discuss it so that us and everybody else who is listening can be aware and they can understand that, yes, this was the standard. This is who we are, first and foremost. This was our standard. This was our mandate. Having understood that, then we can understand that, as you said, as you explained, we are still in the land of our captivity. So even though this is the standard, even though this is the mandate, we can't do it like this. So I thank you very much for that. So with that understanding now, we can, I think, move forward into, really now understanding what is relevant, what is meaningful, what does this mean, what does that mean? How do we apply it in our everyday lives in the situation and circumstances which we are in currently? Yeah, because I do understand that there are some things which we can't do, which we're not going to be able to do. And we have discussed them on ourselves in our own little discussions and in our meetings and so on, that, we're so destroyed.
Right.
Are really damaged. And there is no way we can put this back to rights. The Most High going to send back the Messiah to put this thing back to rights. We cannot fix this. It's beyond us. So I personally understand that. But for me, we have to start somewhere. And I just think that the beginning has to be the standard. We have to come back to the standard to know what the standard is and then take it from there.
Right. We have to look in the mirror. We have to look in the mirror and in our everyday living, how are we living our lives in relation to Torah, even just based off the 10 Commandments. And do people even know the 10 Commandments? Can we even say it by heart? And the breakdown of how we are to be towards our Elohim and how we're supposed to be towards each other. But please go ahead and read, please.
We're reading from Zechariah 1?
No. Zechariah chapter 1, verse 15 through 17.
Zechariah 1, verse 15 through 17. And I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease. For I was but a little displeased, and they helped forward their affliction. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, I am returned to Jerusalem with mercies. My house shall be built in it, saith the Lord of hosts, and the line shall be stretched forth upon Jerusalem. Cry yet, saying, Thus saith the Lord of hosts, my cities through prosperity shall yet be spread abroad, and the Lord shall yet comfort Zion, and shall yet choose Jerusalem.
Thank you. I want you to bring that out because it's something that's very important. because there's a lot of hurt that our people are dealing with. And the level of atrocities that our people are even currently going through is overwhelming. And I don't want anyone to ever think that the afflictions that we're going through have been justified or ordained by the Most High. They have not. These heathen have done the absolute most in regards to how they've treated us. And this has happened all throughout time. And it's a situation where there will be recompense and judgment against the wicked for what they've done to the house of Israel, things you mind can't even comprehend that have happened to us. And so I need people to be aware that although our forefathers and foremothers did sin against the Most High Yah, they broke covenant. Thus, we were birthed and born into the situation that we are in right now. It's something where we need to understand that He did not desire for this to happen to us the way it did. But yet He did proclaim, if you disobey me, these things shall happen. Oftentimes the tense of the Hebrew is not completely accurate when translated into English. It's not a causation, it's more as a allow or just proclaiming this is going to happen to you if you do these things. So we definitely need to humble ourselves. We need to seek the Most High and really be better. We have to love each other, because I'm telling you right now, for me, what I see is I need a restoration of the family. I need each of your houses to be intact and in order as much as possible. That way we can be intact as a community, so that our individual houses together can come together, that we can produce a seed of Elohim, right? A godly seed amongst our people. We have to stop this intermixing with these other nations, because the issue again is the fact that when you intermarry with these other nations, you're not just intermarrying with them, but you're intermarrying with the Elohim that they represent, that they're attached to. Even in the book of Sirach, it talks about that, and how those principalities were given or assigned their borders and their authority and all these different things. Like we have to love one another and work out those issues that we do have within our own communities. We don't need external outside people. We don't always have to rely on other nations to survive. We can produce things ourselves. We can make things ourselves. I need to go to you for business and different things like that. You should come to me. We need to work on loving us as a people, so that we can come, like Yeshua says, even down to turn the other cheek. It wasn't talking about your enemy. Turn the other cheek was in regards to my brother. Like if Julian had an issue or a problem, we had an altercation, I need to make sure I can make things right with my brother Julian in light of our present situation. We got external enemies on the outside that are seeking to kill us both. So we need to work together, like you two, right? Between, Debbie and you, Sherrill, you guys should be able to work whatever. If there was ever any type of whatever happening between y'all should be able to work it out as family, as blood, right? That's what it talks about, even to the point of, while you go to court, make peace with your brother or your sister or your adversary, right? While you can, before you go before the judge and get thrown in prison, right? Don't go before your enemy. It's even Torah. Don't go before your enemy in a dispute. Handle it in-house. Like, there's so many Torah-based principles that we have to learn. So it's important to understand the wisdom that's in our history and the wisdom of our ancestors. We needed to take accountability for our own lives, right? And measure our lives according to Torah as best as we can. But one thing for me, like I've seen it quite a bit, is I call it the Hebrew bubble of the awakening, and then next thing you know, every other word is a Hebrew word. Next thing you know, folks try and become super brew. And it's like, I'm all for learning the culture. I'm all for learning the language. I'm all for all those creative and cultural things, but don't get out of balance, because the reality is, and it's a struggle, because the heart, we're already a prideful people as it is, but the heart is to want to do everything exactly as we see in Torah, and we don't have the ability to right now. Even when it comes down to a woman on her nidah, right, which is a menstrual, right? The procedures in regards to that, how can that be implemented nowadays in our current circumstances? If someone were to touch a dead body or unclean thing, the procedures they have to go through with the priesthood and all those different things, it's a lot. But bottom line is this: it's a process. So for all those that will be watching in the future, just understand this journey is a process. Walk through it at the appointed pace for you. And then also, don't rush your spouse or your children into a level they're not prepared for yet. Have patience. Have patience, because you want to, especially if you're married, like, you're bringing your family into this awakening together. So you might be on level 9 and your wife is on level 2. Work with your wife, be patient with your wife, to go through the process and allow the Most High to awaken, so that you'll be on one accord. You don't want to have this disorder in your household. But that's all I got for this. There's more to go into in regards to essentially what happened and the details of what tribes went where. There's several books by an author. I want to say her name is Gwendolyn Hall. Ironically, she's a Jewish lady, which is pretty interesting. She was based out of New Orleans, and her father was a lawyer, and she also came up underneath him, went to the courthouse and found all these different ledgers that were kept in regards to the enslaved Israelites, where they come from, all these details and information. And a lot of her material and work was put into the Slave Voyages database, which breaks down a lot of information about where the enslaved Hebrews came from, what their names were, what their ages were, so on and so forth. So we're going to get into that next time, and break down again, like, which West African tribes actually came to certain island locations, such as Jamaica or Haiti or Dominica, or even Cuba or the Dominican Republic and all that kind of stuff. We'll figure out who went where, and kind of go from there. So, any other questions before I close out in prayer? All right, Abba Yah, thank you for this time that we have to come before your throne of grace, mercy, and judgment. I pray that we've been counted worthy to stand before your throne. I pray that we all have restful sleep this evening. I pray that your will be done in our lives, and that this word has been edifying, and that we're encouraged to go forth and to seek you, a relationship with you and your Son in a deeper and greater way. May your Spirit reign and rule in our life, empowering us to do your will until our death, unto life. We thank you, we praise you for all you're doing in and through our lives, the hedge of protection around about us, in the name of your dear Son, Yeshua HaMashiach, for he is our salvation. Amen.
Amen.
All right, guys. I appreciate you. Get some good rest.
Thank
Julian,
you.
pleasure meeting you.
All right, brother. Same here.
It's
See you guys.
Good night. Blessed evening.